Donald Trump stormed back into the White House promising a revolution. 100 days into his second term, has he delivered or has he detonated? Trump's first 100 days have been a whirlwind of executive action. Over 200 executive orders have been signed. That is more than any president in modern history at this stage of his presidency. So what are Donald Trump's biggest moves in the last 3 months that he's been in office? Number one, the mass deportations of illegal immigrants. Number two, reciprocal tariffs on major trade partners. Then there's been federal spending cuts which are much sharper than ever before, led by Elon Musk's DOGE, or the Department of Government Efficiency. There has been massive foreign policy resets with all of America's major partners as well as adversaries, whether it is Russia, China, or even with Europe. On immigration, Trump delivered one of his signature promises, Operation Homeland Sweep. In just 100 days, ICE, which is the nodal agency which looks after who gets to enter and exit the United States, claims that it has deported close to 100,000 undocumented immigrants. Most of these immigrants have been sent back to countries like Venezuela, Colombia, El Salvador, and other Central American countries. Some people, like an El Salvadorian man named Kilmar Abrego Garcia, was separated from his American wife even though he had explicit orders from a court of law which had barred him from being deported. The Trump administration still went ahead. Critics call Trump's immigration moves outrageous and cruel. Trump calls it necessary and a promise that he made to his MAGA voter base.
This is the man that the Democrats are wanting us to fly back from El Salvador to be a happily ensconced member of the USA family. Isn't it a shame? And by the way, I've been hit pretty hard by fake shows, fake news, MSDNC in particular, where they talk about how evil I am, that this man would be thrown out of our country. This man is according to certified statements that we get, is a very violent person. And they want this man to be brought back into our country where he can be free and to stay as a happily Maryland, they call him the Maryland man. He's a Maryland father. No, this is a violent person.
But legal challenges are mounting. Many cities have declared themselves as sanctuary cities. Human rights groups have filed over 200 lawsuits. The matter is expected to go all the way up to the US Supreme Court.
My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day. Waiting for a long time. April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again.
Then came the tariffs. Trump slapped reciprocal tariffs on Chinese, Mexican, European, Indian goods. Over 80 countries around the world bore the brunt of the Trump tariffs. Anywhere between 20% and 50% extra taxes were imposed on any goods that were being imported into the United States from any of these 80-odd countries. There would first be a base tariff of 10% for any good that is coming into the United States, and then there were country-specific reciprocal tariffs which were added on top of it. Trump's message to the world was that it's time to stop ripping America off. But the opposite happened. The markets panicked, stocks tanked over 10% in 2 weeks, the Dow Jones fell by almost 2,000 points in trading sessions, trillions were wiped out in people's savings, blue-blooded American companies like Apple and Amazon and Nvidia lost trillions of dollars of value. Consumer prices then started going up. Facing backlash from Wall Street as well as from within his own party, Trump temporarily paused these new reciprocal tariffs. But while pausing them, he also threatened that these tariffs could come back anytime.
It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, they're in this very spot, do not retaliate and you will be rewarded. So every country in the world who wants to come and negotiate, we are willing to hear you. We're going to go down to a 10% baseline tariff for them.
The numbers were beginning to tell in the polls as well. According to the CNN SSRS poll, which polled a large number of Americans at the 100-day mark, Trump's approval rating stands at 42% after 100 days in office. It is slightly higher than what it was at the same time in his first term, when he finished 100 days in his first term in 2017, but at the same time, it is lower than most modern-day presidents. In fact, it is the lowest compared to Biden, Obama, even George Bush. The New York Times Siena College poll puts him even lower at 39% approval, 54% disapproval, which means a majority of the people polled, a majority of people in America disapprove of Trump's second term. Historically, most re-elected presidents have enjoyed a honeymoon. It lasts about 3 months or roughly about 100 days. In Trump's case, his second term honeymoon is already showing signs of marital trouble.
41% approval of him now. It was 44% back in 2017 around the 100-day mark. And what's so notable here is that throughout his second term as president, he tended to be running ahead of where he was in his first term. No longer is that the case. He has fallen below where he was at this point in his first term. Of course, this is just Trump. Let's compare him to other presidents. And I really think this kind of puts a bow on it. And you can see it here. You see the 41%. That is 12 points below Joe Biden. That's 3 points below where he was in his first term. Look at where Obama was, 63%. He's 22 points below that. And George W. Bush at this point in 2001, he is, again, 21 points below.
Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, has slashed funding to almost all government agencies, anywhere between 20 to 50%. The layoffs in government departments has hit education, environment, and health the hardest. It has also hit the overseas development wing of the US State Department. There have been mass protests against Trump's best buddy and the man in charge of DOGE, Elon Musk. So much so, his company Tesla's shares have tanked, and Musk has clarified that he will be leaving government soon. On the world stage, Trump has ripped apart the old playbook. He has cut military aid to Ukraine. He has called it Europe's war, not America's war. He has initiated direct talks with Russia for the very first time since 2022. He's even spoken with Putin twice in the last 3 months that he's been in office. And that, of course, has set off alarm bells amongst America's NATO allies and partners. Once again, Trump has reignited tariff wars with China, sparking retaliation on American goods, whether it is tech goods or even agricultural goods. Then there is his aggressive rhetoric around the Panama Canal, Greenland, even joking about making Canada the 51st state, remarks that have enraged all of these countries and also American allies. In fact, his remarks about Canada have been a singular reason why Mark Carney has been re-elected as Canada's Prime Minister. European allies have been furious at Trump's comments. His insistence that Europe has to handle its own wars has shattered the very rationale of NATO. Germany and France have already announced new defense initiatives and defense budgets because they basically don't trust American backstop anymore.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people.
3 months in, Trump's second term is extremely volatile, it is aggressive, and it is deeply divisive. But his base loves it. His critics are warning of chaos. Over the next 6 months, expect more legal battles over immigration, more human case studies like that of Kilmar Garcia. There's going to be potential tariff escalations, particularly if the markets react negatively. China and America are caught in a trade war, with each imposing 100%, 200% tariffs on each other's goods. That's not going to change anytime soon. There will also be foreign policy shocks, particularly when it comes to Europe and Russia and the ongoing war in Ukraine. And domestically, expect a bitter congressional battle over these DOGE cuts and federal budgets. Donald Trump came back to office for a second term, promising America a second revolution. In just 100 days, he has ensured one thing: America may or may not become great again, but the rest of the world will not be the same again.